Commander Eric Martinez stood tall as the doors to the Galactic Council chamber opened. His blue uniform was crisp, his face calm despite the weight of his mission. Behind him, 5 other humans from Earth followed in silence. They were the first official human delegation to the stars. The chamber was massive. Beings of all shapes and sizes sat in tiered seats that rose high into the air. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and many looked almost human except for their unusual colors or extra limbs. High Counselor Zex Thorn, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms, looked down at the humans from his floating platform. His voice boomed through the chamber. "The Empire welcomes Earth's representatives," he said. His words were translated through the small devices in the humans' ears. "We are pleased you accepted our invitation." Martinez nodded respectfully. 3 months ago, Imperial scouts had appeared near Earth. After the initial panic, they explained they were part of a 10,000-year-old galactic empire that spanned thousands of star systems. They had been watching Earth for decades and were impressed by humanity's rapid progress. Now they offered membership in their grand civilization. "Thank you for your welcome," Martinez said. "Earth is honored to discuss joining the galactic community." Lieutenant Olivia Dawson stood slightly behind Martinez. While the commander spoke, her eyes moved across the room, studying everything. Something felt wrong. The other species representatives looked down with what seemed like pity in their eyes. Zex Thorn's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "We have prepared the standard agreement for new species," he said. A glowing document appeared in the air before Martinez. "The terms are simple. Earth will provide 70% of its mineral resources to the Empire. Human representatives will have observer status for the first 200 years. Imperial peacekeepers will establish bases on your planet to ensure smooth integration." Martinez kept his face neutral, but his hand tightened at his side. "These terms seem unusually harsh, High Counselor." "These are the standard terms for a species at your development level," Zex Thorn replied coldly. "Most are grateful for our protection." While they spoke, Dawson had connected her small computer to the Imperial network. She had been a code breaker before becoming a space diplomat. Now her screen flashed with decoded messages she pulled from the Imperial system. "Commander," she whispered to Martinez, "I'm seeing communications about resource extraction quotas and population control measures for Earth. They've already divided our planet into mining sectors." Martinez nodded slightly to show he heard. He looked up at Zex Thorn. "The Earth delegation requests time to review these terms." The High Counselor's eyes narrowed. "Of course. You have 3 Earth days. Be advised that these terms are non-negotiable." Back on their ship, Martinez called an emergency meeting. The 6 humans gathered around a table as Dawson shared what she had found. "They'd done this to 17 other worlds in the past century," she explained, showing images of planets stripped of resources. "The Empire finds developing worlds, offers protection, then takes everything of value. The native populations become workers in their own minds." Martinez's face darkened. "We need to contact Earth immediately." 3 days later, Martinez stood again before the council. Zex Thorn looked down expectantly. "Has Earth accepted our generous offer?" he asked. Martinez stood straight. "Earth respectfully declines the current terms. We propose instead a mutual exchange of knowledge and limited resource sharing." Whispers filled the chamber. No species had refused the Empire's terms in living memory. Zex Thorn's face showed shock, then anger. "This is unusual. Perhaps you don't understand your situation. The Empire's offer of protection can be reconsidered." "We understand perfectly," Martinez said calmly. "Earth hopes to join the galactic community as equals, not servants. We remain open to fair negotiation." As the human delegation left the chamber, they didn't see the Imperial admirals already planning the peacekeeping fleet that would force Earth's compliance. Nor did the Empire know that back on Earth, hidden shipyards were already building humanity's response. The first seeds of war had been planted. Admiral Catherine Russell moved through the massive underground shipyard. her footsteps echoing on the metal walkway. Below her, thousands of workers swarmed over the hull of a warship larger than anything humans had built before. Similar scenes played out in hidden facilities across the solar system, from the dark side of the moon to the caves of Mars, and deep within the asteroid belt. "How many ships are ready?" she asked the man walking beside her. General William Carter checked his tablet. 300 combat-ready vessels. Another 500 will be completed within 2 months. Russell nodded. Earth had been preparing in secret since the first alien signals were detected years ago. When the Empire's scouts finally arrived, humanity was already building its defense. The failed diplomatic mission had only sped things up. "And the new propulsion system?" she asked. "Dr. Price says it's ready," Carter replied. "The test ships are hitting speeds we never thought possible. We can match the Empire's best ships now." Inside a nearby lab, Dr. Alan Price and his team worked tirelessly. They had studied the crashed Imperial scout ship found in the Arctic 10 years ago. No one had told the Empire about this crash. From it, humans had learned about faster-than-light travel and much more. "The quantum drive is stable," Dr. Price told his assistant as they watched a test model hover. "The Empire thinks we're centuries behind them. They have no idea what's coming." Meanwhile, in a secure communication center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Peter Nichols adjusted his headphones. For weeks, he had been intercepting and decoding Imperial messages. What he found made his blood run cold. "Admiral," he said into his secure line, "I've confirmed the Empire is assembling a fleet. They're calling it a peacekeeping force, but the orders are clear. They plan to occupy Earth and begin resource extraction immediately." Russell's voice came back calm but firm. "How long do we have?" "Their fleet will arrive in 3 months," Nichols replied. "Then we need to be ready in 2, Russell said. On the surface, life continued normally. Governments told their people that diplomatic talks were ongoing. Meanwhile, the best pilots, engineers, and soldiers quietly disappeared to training centers inside hollowed-out mountains and underwater bases. Lisa Hernandez, Earth's new ambassador, kept the Empire distracted with endless questions and requests for clarification on the proposed agreement. Each day she bought was another day for the fleet to grow. "They're getting impatient," she told Russell during a secure call. The Imperial negotiator threatened to end talks today. "Keep them talking just a bit longer," Russell replied. "We're almost ready." In a testing range in the Kuiper Belt, beyond Neptune, Captain Frank Murphy led a small team on a daring mission. Their target, an Imperial scout ship patrolling the outer solar system. "Approach slowly," Murphy ordered as their stealth vessel closed in. No emissions, no signals. His team boarded the alien craft, surprising the small crew. Within minutes, they had control of the ship and its valuable navigation data. Now they knew exactly how the Imperial fleet would approach Earth. As Dr. Samantha Boyd studied captured Imperial weapons, she made a critical discovery. Their energy weapons operate on a predictable frequency, she told her team. "If we tune our shields to the right resonance, we can reduce their effectiveness by 60%. The new shield technology was immediately added to every human ship. 2 months later, Admiral Russell stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Freedom. Around it, the largest fleet humans had ever built waited in the darkness of space, hidden from Imperial sensors. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her second-in-command said. Russell looked at the tactical display. The Imperial peacekeeping fleet would arrive tomorrow, expecting to find a helpless planet. "Maintain stealth protocols," she ordered. "Let them come to us." The trap was set. Humanity would not be conquered. The Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humans. Imperial Overseer Galvek stood on the command deck of his massive warship. The screen in front of him showed Earth, a blue-green planet that would soon join the Empire's collection of subjugated worlds. "Such a primitive species," Galvek said to his second-in-command. "Our intelligence reports say they barely have space travel beyond their own moon." "There are some reports suggesting otherwise," Sir, his officer replied carefully. Scout Team 7 detected unusual activity in their asteroid belt. They believe the humans might be building ships. Galvek laughed, the sound echoing across the command deck. With their technology, any ships they build would be useless against even our smallest vessels. This will be the easiest planetary acquisition of my career. The Imperial fleet moved closer to Earth. It included 50 large warships and hundreds of smaller craft. To any normal civilization, it would appear overwhelming and unstoppable. Broadcast the standard surrender message, Galvek ordered. Give them 1 hour to agree to our terms. Down on Earth, in the United Nations Emergency Chamber, world leaders watched the Imperial ships appear in the sky. They were now visible to everyone, hanging like new stars above major cities. They're early, Ambassador Hernandez said, looking at the live feed. We expected them tomorrow. Admiral Russell's face appeared on a secure screen. It doesn't matter. We're ready. In cities across the world, people looked up at the strange ships with fear and wonder. Some panicked. Others prayed. Few knew about the plan that was about to unfold. On the Imperial command ship, Galvek received Earth's response to his demand. The humans request a final meeting, his communications officer reported. They say they have questions about the surrender terms. More delays, Galvek growled. Tell them they have 10 minutes to accept our terms, or we will demonstrate our weapons on one of their smaller cities. Dr. Samantha Boyd finished the final adjustments to Earth's defense system. The quantum shields were now operational around every major city. If the Empire fired, they would find their weapons much less effective than expected. Shields at full strength, she reported to Admiral Russell. They're in for a surprise if they try anything. Captain Frank Murphy led his team of Special Forces soldiers into their advanced dropships. If the plan worked, they would soon be boarding enemy vessels. Remember your training, he told his troops. We stick to the plan. In and out with the target technology. No heroes today. The 10-minute deadline approached. On the Imperial command ship, Galvek prepared to order a demonstration strike on a city in what humans called Australia. Target locked, his weapons officer reported. Awaiting your command. Fire, Galvek ordered calmly. A beam of energy shot down from the Imperial ship toward the city below. But when it hit the invisible shield, it dispersed into harmless light. The city remained untouched. What happened? Galvek demanded, rising from his chair. Unknown, sir. The weapons fired correctly, but something blocked the energy. Before Galvek could respond, his sensor officer called out in alarm. Sir, we're detecting new energy signatures. Hundreds of them, all around us. In space around Earth's orbit, hidden ships began to appear. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. The human fleet had kept itself hidden using technology the Empire didn't know they possessed. Admiral Russell stood on the bridge of the Freedom as the cloaking systems deactivated. All ships, report in, she ordered. One by one, the captains of Earth's secret armada confirmed they were ready for battle. Send the message, Russell ordered. Across all frequencies, in the standard Imperial language, the human fleet broadcast a simple message to the shocked Imperial forces. You came to our home uninvited. You threatened our people. You planned to take what wasn't yours. We gave you the chance to leave in peace. That offer has expired. Galvek stared at the screen in disbelief as the human fleet took formation around his ships, cutting off any escape route. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear. Commander Krex Vowel rushed onto the bridge of the Imperial flagship. Alarms blared throughout the ship. The main screen showed hundreds of human vessels surrounding the Imperial fleet. This is impossible, he said, his voice barely a whisper. Their technology is too advanced. They shouldn't have these capabilities for at least another century. Overseer Galvek stood frozen, staring at the display. How did we miss this? Where did these ships come from? On the Freedom, Admiral Russell issued her orders with calm precision. All ships maintain position. Form the Aegis pattern. Human vessels moved with perfect coordination, creating an unbroken sphere around the Imperial fleet. There would be no escape. "Open a channel to the Imperial command ship," Russell ordered. The face of Overseer Galvek appeared on her screen. His gray skin had turned almost white with shock. "This is Admiral Catherine Russell of the United Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is surrounded. Power down your weapon systems immediately." Galvek's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "This is some trick. Your species cannot possibly have built such a fleet." Russell smiled slightly. "Yet here we are. You have 1 Earth hour to surrender, or we will open fire." The connection cut off. Russell turned to her second-in-command. "Deploy the boarding teams. I want them ready the moment the hour is up." In the vacuum of space, small stealth ships moved silently toward the Imperial vessels. Captain Frank Murphy led the first team, approaching the Imperial flagship. Team 2 moved to the engine section. He whispered into his comm. Team 3, target their weapons systems. Inside the Imperial fleet, panic spread. Officers who had expected an easy victory now faced possible destruction. "We should retreat," Commander Krexval urged Galvek. "We can return with the main Imperial Armada. There is nowhere to retreat to." Galvek shouted, pointing at the screen. "They have us surrounded on all sides." On Earth, people watched the confrontation through telescopes and live satellite feeds. What had begun as fear of alien invaders turned to cheers as they realized humanity had been preparing for this day. In the White House Situation Room, the President of the United States watched with other world leaders. "Will they surrender?" the British Prime Minister asked. "Unlikely," General Carter replied. "The Empire has never faced resistance like this. Their pride won't allow them to give up easily." In space, the hour was almost up. Admiral Russell stood from her chair. "All ships, prepare to engage on my mark. Boarding teams, stand by." The Imperial ships suddenly began powering up their weapons. "They're preparing to fire," Russell's tactical officer reported. "Initiate Operation Leonidas," Russell ordered without hesitation. From Earth's moon, a powerful pulse of energy shot out, washing over the Imperial fleet. Ship after ship went dark as their power systems failed. On the Freedom's bridge, a cheer went up. The electromagnetic pulse worked perfectly, just as Dr. Boyd had promised. "All boarding teams, go now," Russell commanded. Captain Murphy's team cut through the hull of the Imperial flagship. Inside, emergency lights cast an eerie red glow through the corridors. Most systems were down, and confused Imperial soldiers offered little resistance. Moving toward the central computer core, Murphy reported as his team advanced. In other Imperial ships, similar scenes played out. Human special forces moved efficiently through the alien vessels, capturing key systems and personnel. Within 30 minutes, half the Imperial fleet was under human control. The rest remained powerless, floating helplessly in space. Admiral Russell opened a channel to all frequencies, broadcasting to the entire solar system and beyond. "People of Earth, the invasion has been stopped. The Imperial fleet has been neutralized." Her voice reached not just Earth, but traveled outward to other stars and worlds under Imperial control. For the first time in thousands of years, someone had successfully defied the Galactic Empire. On distant worlds, oppressed species heard the news with growing hope. If humans could stand against the Empire, perhaps they could too. The war had only just begun. Captain Susan Richards watched from the bridge of the U.S. Defiant as the remaining Imperial ships attempted to regroup. After the electromagnetic pulse had disabled most of their fleet, only 20 ships still had power, and they were forming a defensive circle. "They're preparing to make a stand," her first officer said. Richards nodded. "Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The Defiant moved forward, leading a group of 10 human warships. They were the first wave of the attack plan Admiral Russell had created. "All ships, engage attack pattern Delta," Richards ordered. Her ships spread out, moving in ways the Imperial forces had never seen before. On the damaged Imperial flagship, Overseer Galvek watched with growing horror. Half his fleet was captured. The other half was trying to defend itself against the strange attack patterns of the human ships. Their tactics make no sense, his tactical officer said. They're not following any standard combat doctrine. Because they're humans, Galvek replied bitterly. They fight wars differently than any species we've encountered. Captain Richard's ships fired their first volley. Instead of the direct assault the Empire expected, the human vessels fired from multiple angles, targeting specific systems on each Imperial ship. Engines first, then weapons, then life support. Richards reminded her weapons officer, "We want to capture as many ships intact as possible." The Imperial ships tried to return fire, but the human vessels moved too quickly, changing direction in ways that seemed impossible. Meanwhile, Colonel John Barrett led his boarding teams onto the disabled Imperial ships. They moved through the alien corridors with practiced efficiency, stunning Imperial soldiers and securing key areas. Engineering secured, Barrett reported as his team took control of another ship's power core. This makes 5 ships under our control. Inside the captured ships, human technicians downloaded the Imperial database. Every bit of information about Imperial technology, star maps, and military plans was being copied and sent back to Earth. "We've hit the jackpot," a technician told Barrett, pointing to the data streaming across her screen. Fleet deployments, weapon specifications, even their FTL navigation data. The battle continued for 3 hours. One by one, the remaining Imperial ships were disabled or destroyed. Captain Richards ensured that escape pods were allowed to leave the doomed vessels, saving thousands of Imperial lives. "We're not here to slaughter them," she told her crew when someone questioned this mercy. "We're here to win a war and show we're better than they are." By the end of the battle, not a single functional Imperial warship remained in Earth's solar system. It was a complete victory. On the Freedom, Admiral Russell received the reports from all ship captains. "Casualties?" she asked her staff. "Minimal, Admiral. 27 dead, 114 wounded. We lost 3 ships." Russell nodded solemnly. Even one death was too many, but compared to what could have happened if Earth had been unprepared, it was a miracle. And the Imperial forces. "We've captured 42 ships intact. 15 were destroyed, but most of their crews escaped in pods. We're holding approximately 12,000 prisoners." As the human fleet regrouped, Captain Daniel Wright led a special mission. His small, fast ship approached the fleeing Imperial escape pods. "Plant the trackers on every pod," he ordered his team. "Make sure they're not detected." Tiny quantum devices attached to the escaping pods, invisible to Imperial sensors. These would lead the human fleet directly to Imperial space when the time came. News of the battle spread across Earth. People celebrated in the streets, relieved that the alien threat had been defeated. But Admiral Russell knew better than to celebrate too early. This was just one fleet, she told her officers during their debriefing. The Empire has thousands of worlds, millions of ships. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. She pulled up a star map showing the vast territory of the Galactic Empire. "Which is why we're not going to wait for them to come to us again. We're taking the fight to them." The human fleet began preparations for something no one had ever attempted: an invasion of Imperial space. 3 weeks after the Battle of Sol, the human fleet moved through space faster than any Imperial ship could travel. Thanks to Dr. Price's enhanced drives, they would reach the first Imperial colony world in just 2 days. Admiral Russell studied the star map on the Freedom's bridge. Tiny dots of light showed the human fleet's position, moving deep into Imperial territory. "The tracking devices are working perfectly," her navigation officer reported. "We're following the exact route the escape pods took." The plan was bold but simple: follow the retreating Imperial forces, then strike at key worlds before the Empire could mount a proper defense. "Any sign they've detected us?" Russell asked. "None, Admiral. Their sensors can't detect our ships at this speed." Meanwhile, Major Nicole Peterson led a smaller mission. Her team of 5 ships broke away from the main fleet, heading toward a planet called Viridian. According to the Imperial database, Viridian is home to a species that's been fighting Imperial rule for decades, she told her crew. If we can make contact with them, we might gain valuable allies. Her ships entered the Viridian system carefully, using the stealth technology that had hidden Earth's fleet for so long. On the planet's surface, the tall, 4-armed Viridians had just received news of the Empire's defeat at Earth. Their resistance leaders met in secret to discuss what this might mean. These humans defeated an Imperial fleet, said one leader. Something no species has done in 1,000 years. But can we trust them? Asked another. Or will they just replace the Empire with their own rule? Their discussion was interrupted when a guard rushed in. Unknown ships in orbit, not Imperial design. Major Peterson's voice came through their communication system. People of Viridian. We are from Earth. We come seeking alliance against our common enemy. The Viridian leaders looked at each other in surprise. They had not expected the humans to come to them. We will meet with you, they finally replied. Similar scenes played out across a dozen worlds. Human ships contacted species that had been under Imperial rule. Some were suspicious at first, but the news of Earth's victory had already spread, giving the humans credibility. Dr. Greg Mitchell worked tirelessly to help these new allies. His team adapted human technology to work with the various alien systems. Their ships are compatible with our weapons systems, he told Admiral Russell during a secure call. With some modifications, we can create a unified fleet. An alliance began to form. First, the Viridians joined, then the insect-like Talgers, then the aquatic Morrisons. Each brought their own ships and knowledge of Imperial weaknesses. They called themselves the Liberated Systems Coalition, with humanity leading the way. The Empire was not idle. Imperial High Command received the distress calls from their defeated fleet and immediately began gathering their forces. These humans must be crushed completely, declared Supreme Commander Xendar. I am recalling the grand fleets from all sectors. Imperial propaganda portrayed humans as savage monsters who ate their prisoners and destroyed civilian targets. The broadcasts showed fake images of human ships attacking passenger vessels and hospitals. But the truth spread faster. When human forces liberated the mining world of Kaldor, they freed 30,000 slaves and provided food and medical care. When they captured Imperial ships, they treated prisoners with respect. The humans fight hard but fight fair, a captured Imperial officer admitted in a message smuggled to his family. They are not the barbarians our leaders claim. The coalition fleet grew larger with each world they visited. Former Imperial soldiers sometimes joined their cause, bringing valuable inside knowledge. Admiral Russell knew the real test was still to come. The Empire was gathering the largest fleet in its history to crush the human-led rebellion. We have maybe 2 weeks before they're ready, she told the coalition leaders during a strategy meeting. We need to strike at their key shipyards and supply lines now, while we still have the advantage of surprise. The coalition fleet changed course, heading for the heart of Imperial military power. The true war was about to begin. The Proxima Centauri system was normally quiet. A small Imperial outpost guarded this unremarkable star. But today, thousands of ships filled the space around it. On one side, the Imperial Grand Fleet gathered. 5,000 warships, the largest force ever assembled in the Empire's history. Their hulls gleamed in the starlight, weapons ready. On the other side, the coalition fleet waited, smaller in number, only 2,000 ships, but more diverse. Human vessels flew alongside Viridian cruisers and Talgar fighters. Each species brought their own strengths to the battle. Supreme Commander Xendar stood on his massive command ship. He was tall even for his species, with skin like polished bronze and 6 eyes that missed nothing. These rebels have had their small victories, he told his officers. Today we crushed them completely. His plan was simple but powerful. The Imperial ships would form a massive sphere, concentrating their firepower while protecting their flanks. It was a tactic that had won 100 battles against other species. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper studied the Imperial formation from aboard the human science vessel Discovery. A young officer with a gift for pattern recognition, Cooper had been analyzing Imperial battle data for weeks. "There it is," he said suddenly, pointing to his screen. "I found the weakness." The data showed that all Imperial ships received battle commands through a central coordination system. The commands took exactly 3.7 seconds to reach each ship. This tiny delay was invisible in normal battles, but Cooper saw how it could be exploited. "We need to attack in waves precisely 3.8 seconds apart," he explained to Admiral Russell over the secure channel. "Their ships won't be able to respond in a coordinated way." Russell immediately understood. "Send the battle plan to all coalition ships. We attack in 30 minutes. As the two fleets faced each other, Sendar gave his order: "Begin the attack." The Imperial ships moved forward as one massive unit, their weapons charged, ready to unleash destruction. But the Coalition fleet didn't follow any pattern the Empire recognized. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, they broke into hundreds of small groups. Each group attacked for precisely 3.8 seconds, then pulled back as another group moved in. "What are they doing?" Sendar demanded as he watched the strange attack pattern. "This makes no sense." But it did make sense to Lieutenant Cooper, who watched the battle unfold according to his plan. The Imperial ships couldn't adjust quickly enough. By the time they received orders to respond to one attack, that attack had ended and another had begun somewhere else. "Protocol Thunderstorm is working," Admiral Russell said with quiet satisfaction. The battle plan, named after Earth's unpredictable weather, was creating chaos in the rigid Imperial formation. The Imperial ships began firing at random, sometimes hitting their own vessels in the confusion. Their perfect sphere broke apart as ships tried to chase the smaller, faster Coalition vessels. "They're breaking formation," Russell observed. "Now for Phase 2. All ships target their command vessels." The Coalition ships suddenly regrouped and struck at the heart of the Imperial fleet. Human gunners fired with precision at the largest Imperial ships, where the commanders were stationed. On his flagship, Sendar felt something he had never experienced before: fear of defeat. "Restore order to the fleet," he shouted. "Return to formation." But his orders took too long to reach the scattered ships. The Coalition forces were already among them, targeting engines and weapons systems with surgical precision. The battle raged for hours. Space itself seemed to burn with weapons fire and exploding ships. But slowly, the perfect coordination of the Coalition fleet overcame the Imperial numbers. By the time the battle ended, half the Imperial fleet was destroyed or captured. The rest retreated in disorder, something no Imperial fleet had done in centuries. Lieutenant Cooper stood in stunned silence as cheers erupted across the Coalition ships. His simple observation about timing had helped win the largest space battle in galactic history. Admiral Russell's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. "The path to the Imperial throne world is now open. All ships prepare for our final push." The Empire had lost not just a battle, but its aura of invincibility. Now all of galactic civilization watched to see what the humans would do next. The Imperial throne world of Centaurus Prime glowed like a jewel against the darkness of space. For 10,000 years, it had been the center of galactic power, never threatened, never conquered. Until today. The Coalition fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, filling the sky above the Imperial capital. At the front, the Freedom led the way, Admiral Russell standing calmly on its bridge. "All ships, hold position," she ordered. "No firing unless fired upon." This surprised many in the Coalition. They had expected a final, destructive battle. But Russell had different plans. On the planet below, panic spread through the Imperial palace. The Emperor himself, a being so old his actual species was forgotten, watched the fleet through the palace's crystal dome. "How did they reach us so quickly?" he asked, his ancient voice trembling. "Where are our defensive fleets?" His advisors had no good answers. Most of the Imperial Navy had been destroyed or captured in previous battles. The few remaining ships formed a thin line around the planet, knowing they faced certain destruction. Admiral Russell opened a channel to the planet. "This is Admiral Catherine Russell of the Earth Defense Force and the Liberated Systems Coalition. We demand the immediate surrender of the Imperial government." The silence stretched for minutes. Finally, a reply came. "The Empire does not surrender." Russell sighed. She had expected this answer. "All ships prepare for planetary landing. Target only military installations and government buildings. No civilian targets." The coalition ships began their descent, but instead of the rain of destruction the Imperials expected, the ships landed near key locations. From them emerged soldiers from Earth and a dozen other worlds. The fighting was brief. Most Imperial forces surrendered when they saw the overwhelming coalition numbers. By nightfall, the Imperial Palace was surrounded. Inside, the Emperor's closest advisors planned one final act of defiance. They would destroy the palace with all inside, taking the coalition leaders with them when they came to accept surrender. "The Empire will rise again from our ashes," said the Emperor's chief general as he activated the hidden explosives. But as coalition forces entered the palace, they were led by Captain Frank Murphy. His team had already found and disabled the explosives, thanks to information from Imperial officers who had grown tired of endless war. Admiral Russell walked through the golden halls of the palace, her footsteps echoing in rooms built to impress and intimidate. She entered the throne room where the Emperor waited. "Have you come to kill me?" the Emperor asked. "No," Russell replied. "We've come to end your empire, not your life." In the days that followed, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in the Imperial capital. Some had been part of the Empire, others had fought with the Coalition. All wondered what would happen next. Would humans establish their own empire? Would they take revenge for the Empire's attempted invasion of Earth? Admiral Russell stood before the gathered representatives. Next to her stood Amanda Hayes, Earth's diplomat. "The war is over," Russell announced. "The Empire as you knew it is finished, but we did not fight this war to replace one ruler with another." Hayes stepped forward. "We propose a new galactic federation. Every world will have equal voice, regardless of size or military power. Resources will be shared fairly. No species will rule over others." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Such an idea was revolutionary in a galaxy used to Imperial rule. Not everyone welcomed the idea. A group of Imperial hardliners attempted a last desperate attack during the meeting. They had hidden weapons and planned to kill the coalition leaders. But the attack was stopped by a combined force of humans and their former enemies, working together to protect the peace. In the new galactic archives, established where the Imperial records once stood, the first entry about the war read, "When humanity's Armada appeared, the galaxy held its breath in fear. When they departed, it exhaled in freedom." Across thousands of worlds, beings looked up at the stars with new hope. For the first time in 10,000 years, they were not subjects of an empire, but citizens of a federation. And it had all begun because one small planet, thought to be weak and primitive, had refused to surrender.